Gear up, scooter fam. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about 11-inch tires, scooters with 11-inch tires. And a viewer kind of gave me a recommendation. I made a video talking about my possible next scooter, and he was like, you should get an 11-inch scooter with 11-inch tires. And that's a good point because if I get a scooter that's got a little bit more beefy suspension with 11-inch tires, that certainly could make quite a difference over some of those larger bumps and cracks and so forth that I'm still getting a little bit of shakiness from on the Clema. But let me to start off, before I get started on these, I just wanted to give a real quick update on the Clema and what's going on with that. So I finally did get an email back from Fluid this morning, first thing, so it wasn't too bad. I mean, I expected to hear something back Friday, but I got missed. But early I got an email this morning from Fluid giving me a response. But it was pretty interesting response. I showed them a gash on the on this piece. I don't remember if I showed it in the video. I'll put it up if I can find it. But there's a little gash on the support that the calipers are connected to. So when I remove the caliper, you just got this support that's attached to the swing arm, and it just holds the calipers down in place. So when I took it off, I noticed this little scraping gash in the thing. So I sent him an email. I asked him about it. I said, the first email was like, hey, I think the rotor's warped, and they said it was the caliper or something was misaligned. So I took everything apart and wanted to check for sure that that the rotor wasn't warped, and it wasn't. So but in taking it apart, I noticed this little scratches, deep kind of scratches in this metal that's being attached. So anyway, that was my second email, and the response that I got back, I told them, of course, that the rotor wasn't warped and that I reseated it and everything worked fine. And then the response I got back was, it says, "Hi, that is great. You were able to resolve the rubbing or creaking noise. That gash you took a picture of is likely where the rubbing is happening." That makes sense. "That looks like where the rotor is hitting, thus making the scratch gash." I didn't think about that, but that's probably true. It says, "Usually that happens when it was not properly installed from the factory." I could agree. "Unfortunately, these things happen, and we can't be sure it does not happen because we don't get to open the scooter's box to check it. It's sealed from the factory." And I asked her a thing about the rotor size just because it was labeled differently, and he clarified that. No need to go in that. But the point is that, it seems like every problem I have with the Clema, with dealing with Fluid or Nami and Michael Shaw, is that everybody's kind of just doing some finger pointing. "Oh, it comes like that in the box." There was no offer to replace these things because they were messed up, and I wasn't aware of. There was no resolution. Just okay, thanks. And then right after that, I got a follow up email saying, "How did I do?" And I've gotten two of those. I just haven't replied because I don't want to be a jerk, but I'm not about to just say, "Yeah, you were wonderful." I appreciate them getting back to me. I really do, but I just feel like it's lacking. There's too much finger pointing. It's not me. It's not my fault. It's their fault. And instead of like just helping the customer and just having good service and building a reputation on that. And so that's all. I feel like it just fell a tad short. He just dismissed it. It's not a big deal to me. I said in the email it wasn't a big deal to me. It's, you can't see it. It's cosmetic. I didn't realize that was a problem though, right? I didn't know where it came from. I thought maybe someone just stuck a piece on there that had been scraped. But now that he mentions it, he's probably correct. The rotor wasn't damaged, but that little piece has some scrapes in it, and considering where it's sitting, they got a good point. So that's what was scraping. That's what was happening. That's what I was hearing. And once I reseated the rotor, it all disappeared. So it was done. It was assembled incorrectly, and I know that's not Fluid's fault, but they certainly should be working to try to rectify it once it goes out. It wasn't their fault about the brakes either, but they did solve that problem. Maybe if I had pushed harder, but I just didn't know that's what it was. And so now that I know, I kind of would hope they would say, hey, do you want us to replace that little piece and the rotor maybe because it was rubbing on there? That would be nice. Nice customer service considering it came messed up, and my scooter now has a slight imperfection because of something that was someone's fault along the way. And like I said, it's not a big deal. You can't see it. It's just cosmetic. I don't believe it stops anything from occurring, but it's just one of those little things that nobody wants to own up to. And I find that to be the case. It seems like, a lot in this industry. And anyway, moving on from that, I just want to give you guys an update on that. That's just being completely open and honest. So there we are. Another thing is I did take another ride today, and there's definitely some stem creak in there. It just won't go away. I've tightened it up. I may try to, break it down and tighten it up again, but I literally only rode a couple of times since I just tightened it up, and for sure there was some creak in it today on my ride to Walmart. So some of the same roads I always go down. For some reason I can, I'm hitting certain areas and I can just tell starts making a creaking noise when I'm riding, and not the end of the world as long as it doesn't lead to other problems. Maybe I can get some WD-40 or something like that. But once again, I'll note the Hover 1 Journey Max has never had a problem like this. It's got a huge stem, much cheaper. I get it, much less appealing than the Clema over here. But functionality, it's a beast. So just pointing that out. Not that the Journey Max is better, just pointing out that distinction. All right, let's move on to some of my favorites. I picked 5 of my top favorite 11-inch scooters. They all had to be 11-inch tires. These are my favorite that I could find. There are plenty of other good scooters out there, but I had to choose 5, and these are 5 that I've been watching for a while, and I know a little bit about. And let's get into it. So first up is the Gotrax G3. It sells for $19.99. One of the more attractive parts about the scooter, considering that it is an 11-inch scooter, and you don't find too many 11-inch tire scooters at $2,000. So that's a plus to me for sure. Just a real decent scooter for the price. Like I said, considering that you get 11-inch tires, actually a pretty decent suspension. So a couple things that I like about the scooter that stand out to me. Once again, it has dual front and rear suspension, which is nice. There aren't too. I don't think I found too many scooters that have that. Some have quite a lot of suspension in the front, but most of them have a single rear suspension, but double suspension in the front and the back. It's built really sturdy. It looks like it has a really sturdy build to it. Looks like it can handle a lot of like bumps and cracks without too much issues. It's a beefy scooter overall. A couple things that I don't like. Tubed tires. It has tube tires, and I've never really been too messed up about the tube tire thing. But considering that I now have the Clema, which is tubeless, I I wanted a quick way to solve the problem. I don't want to get stuck on the side of the road. I mean, it can happen, but I want to minimize that possibility. So I wanted a way to quickly repair the tire. So I got a mountain bike plug kit and then a portable inflator, and so I should be able to solve that problem on most of my flats that aren't in the sidewall or something. It's been the sidewall. I'm gonna have to need a new tire anyway. So, but as long as it's just a normal puncture, I'll be able to remove the item that punctured the tire, and then reinflate, and then plug it, reinflate it, and get going again. So I don't want to have necessarily two different types of ways that I deal with it. If I only had this scooter, it wouldn't be a big deal to carry an extra tube since they have split rims and change the tube on the fly if I need to. But like I said, considering I have the Clema, I kind of just want to keep one kit in my bag so I don't have to keep two kits all the time or switch between kits. So I really only want one tire kit. That's the only real issue. I don't have a problem with two tires in general, or the fact as long as it's a split rim. I wouldn't really. It would be difficult for me to want to buy another scooter that I had to change two tires on a non-split rim. I mean, once again, the Journey Max is awesome, but it's the least thing I like about the scooter. And then it's got the GX3 has an IP54 rating. That's as low as it gets. I think the Hover Max also has a IP54, and when you get up in a $2,000 price range, I think you should at least have a 55. I think you should at least have a 5, because this 54 is, to me, is just like, you don't want to get caught in the rain. Like, you might go through a sprinkler system, really light rain. As long as you don't hit too many puddles, you don't really want to get the scooter wet in general. And then IP55, you can handle some decent rain and medium-sized puddles. And then 6 and up is, you're kind of okay to do what you like. But anyway, so the IP54 is a little bit, not that special. Next up, we have the Solar P1 Pro. This is a nice scooter. I haven't been too big on solar most of the time, because most of our scooters have a trigger throttle. And that's also something I don't necessarily like about the GX3, is that it does have a trigger throttle. So I don't really care for that. But in this particular case, the P1 Pro has the option of getting a thumb throttle, which makes that okay. It does have a center display too, which I like, which some of the Solars still have the right display with the finger throttle, and I don't care for that at all. So this one does have a center display. It does have the option of getting a thumb throttle. I think it's a paddle throttle, but it's not the finger throttle. So that that's doable for me. It does have 11-inch tires. It does have some beefy suspension, including like quad suspension in the front, but a single in the back. In general, what I like about the scooter, it has an NFC start. Once I got the NFC start with the Clema, I'm really liking that a lot. It's easy. Like I said, I program a card in my wallet to start it up, and then I just take my wallet. It's just so it's nice, and I feel pretty secure with it. And it just gives me, it's just one more thing I like to, it gives me a little bit of peace of mind, and I just like turning it on and off with the card. Anyway, it's just that's a feature I really like, and I really like to have on my next scooter as well. It also has self-healing tires, which is pretty cool. Like I said, the least I have to worry about, changing flats on the side of the road and so forth. That's nice to me. These self-healing tires, I won't put the armadillo stuff or the slime. I won't put any of that stuff in my tires again, unless there's no other way. Once again, let's say I was riding and I did get a flat and it was in the sidewall. A plug won't work. in the sidewall. It'll push out. I could try to plug it and hope it stayed before I got home, but it could push out on the way. Uh, but slime or armadillos or something like that would work in the side. So that would be maybe like a backup plan, you know. So, and I do have some in my bag that I'll carry around with me since I put that stuff in the Journey Max. But I had so much problems with it releasing pressure from the valve stem and it clogging up the valve stem core, and I had to replace 3 out of 4 that I did this to already. So I would never do it again. I don't want to mess with that again. It would only be like a last case scenario in an emergency. And then I'd have to replace that tire anyway, so that tire would be replaced. And so that's, you know, that's, I like the self-healing because you can avoid all that. They put the sticky stuff on the inside of the tire actually, so it can't come out the valve stem, and it stays on the inside of the tire and seals up any punctures that happen with some super sticky stuff that's already part of the tire on the inside. So that I like a lot. It doesn't have front turn signals. And I kind of gotten used to having the front turn signals on the Clema already. I'm trying to use them. Sometimes I forget that they're on and so forth. People probably think I'm crazy, but I got to get used to turning them off. And anyway, I really like having them because I can communicate with cars and so forth. Like I said, if I'm at a 4-way stop or something like that, they can know what I'm doing, so they're not guessing where's this guy on a scooter going. So I like to being able to communicate with traffic. And also it's got an IP54 rating, which is, like I said, it's the lowest. And you know, if I'm paying that much for a scooter, I don't want to have to be worried about rain that much. I don't necessarily want to go out in it, but if I get caught in it, I just don't want it to be a concern. All right. Next up, we have the Wolf King GT Pro. This has been on my radar for quite a while. It's a decent scooter. Since the GTR came out, it's dropped in price and probably has been a pretty good deal at $3,000 here and there for quite a while. This is on Cabo's site, and it's $3,000 for Black Friday. But for $3,000, I think this scooter is kind of a steal. It's got 11-inch tires, of course. And it goes 62 miles an hour. It's just a beast scooter for $3,000. It's insane. And so some of the things, and it's a dual stem. That's some of the things that I like about it is it's got a high top speed, which I've talked about means more range for me. If it goes 62 miles an hour, I'm never going to go that. So, you know, I'm going to double whatever range, you know, that it's rated at, which I think is like 50 something maybe. I'm going to get like a lot of range out of this scooter because it does have such a high top speed and is rated for, you know, a much lower range because of that. And so that's just extra. That's just icing on the cake. I get all that extra range because I'm not going to be driving 60 miles an hour. It's so beefy. It has such a beefy suspension on it. It's hard to beat the Wolf King, some of the Wolf King suspension. You know, it's got everything that, you know, you pretty much want in a nice beefy scooter. Also has self-healing tires, which, like I said, is just a little bit of peace of mind when you're riding around. If you get a basic puncture, it usually isn't even a big deal at all. Let's see. Some of the things I don't like, it's got a really long charge time. And some of these big beefy scooters that go 62 miles an hour are going to have long charge times. They got a really big battery. They got a long range. They got high speed. And it just takes a lot of time to charge. The problem with that is for me, I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to safety. That's why I wear all my gear. And so I don't like to charge it when I'm not awake, when I'm not looking at it, or whatever. I will at least want to be around, and I'm usually in the room with it. But I'm not saying I unplug it every time I leave the room. but I stay with it pretty much while it's charging and keep an eye on it. So I don't like charging overnight. I won't charge while I'm sleeping. I wouldn't charge a scooter while I'm sleeping, just for safety reasons. So I'd have to charge it all day, only when I'm awake, and or I have to split it up. Like charge it 5 hours and then go to bed and then wake up and charge another 5 hours before I can ride it again. Once I get to that point. That would probably make me want to charge it more often, way before the battery gets all the way drained down. Just because of that reason. The Clema has a fast charger. I think you can get dual chargers or something, or a faster charger that'll speed up that time. But the charger that it comes with is 11 hours, and that's too much. The other thing I don't like about it, I've heard the kickstand can be a real bugger, and everyone that has the King GT Pro has had issues with that kickstand, slicing their ankle, cutting their ankle, whatever, the way it's made. And so, yeah, that would be a real pain, literally, and I have to try to figure something out on that. If I did go one day decide to get a GT Pro. Next up is the T-Wing Mars XTR. This is a scooter that's been on my radar for a little while, and for the money, it's one of the best B scooters out there right now, in my opinion. It's got a great suspension. It's got dual stems. It's got a fire extinguisher inside the battery box. It's IP66 rated. It's just got everything, going for it. Just about. It's got, like I said, it's got telelever shocks. It's totally beefy. It's got everything you want, like a top like B scooter to have, and for $3,400. So honestly, that's pretty good when you compare it to other scooters, similar scooters. So some things that I like about it. Once again, it's got the telelever suspension, which is a BMW suspension system, or style inspired by BMW telelever. It's obviously the fire extinguisher is a nice feature to have, for safety, obviously for safety reasons. It's got the front turn signals, which is awesome. Like I said, it's dual stem. There's a lot to like about this scooter. It has a high top speed once again, so my range will be insane considering I'm never going as fast as this scooter will take me. Couple things I don't like about it. It doesn't have an IP rating. I'm sorry. It doesn't have a UL listing, and so it's IP66, which is wonderful. It doesn't have a UL listing, which I think they are working on, but currently it does not have a UL listing, and so that will be nice once it gets that. It does have Samsung battery cells, so it's a quality battery. The other thing I don't like about the XTR is just it's still got the. I think they're outdated, and they look a little better than some of the yellow and red ones, but they still got the Eco Turbo single dual. I mean, that is so like, it's pretty, like, it just doesn't need to be there, right? You don't need Eco Turbo, you don't need single dual on a button on your cockpit. You don't need that. Program it into the display to, I can put it on whatever mode that I want on the Clema with just the normal controls that I use, and there's not a need for a special single dual Eco Turbo its own little piece there. I just don't like them. So that's just a preference. Most people may not care or whatever, but I don't want to just go click in, click out, click in, click out. I mean, it's it's useless. I put mine all in the same modes and I keep it there, and I know what I'm riding all the time. I don't need to have buttons on the, on the thing for me to change it like that ongoing. Anyway, not like that. It's, you know, I think that could just be done away with and figured out some other kind of way. Finally, the InMotion RS. This is a great scooter. I've had my eye on it for a little while. Never really fully considered this scooter. I'm not sure I would consider it now, but at this price, it's certainly a good deal. And you never know in the future if I were shopping around and this one, you know, had a good price on it at the time. You know, you never know. I love the adjustable height. You know, I know it's not really, you know, necessarily made for like, you know, off-roading or some of those larger bumps that I'm trying to avoid, but because you can raise the suspension and raise the height of the base and so forth, I figured that I'd probably ride on a higher setting, and that might you know, translate into a lot smoother ride over those larger bumps, I believe. So I probably would ride it in a higher suspension for more of that that cushy feel, more than the lower center of gravity for high speed runs, which I'm not going to be doing. So I'd probably ride it with it up high for a little bit cushier feel on the ride. And if I did decide to, you know, go with a scooter like this. Some things that I really like about it, once again, is the adjustable height. It's probably the best thing I like about it. It has a high top speed and a high range, which means, you know, 100 miles of range, you know, it could be rated for, which is, you know, crazy. So, and if anyone, and if you could get 100 out of it, I probably would get, you know, at least close to that. So, yeah, that would be nice to have a scooter like that around, that solid, decent, nice scooter. Once again, these are 11-inch tires, beefy suspension. This here says IP56 rating, but I thought I saw IP67. Maybe that was on the battery. But it's got a really good IP rating. That's one of the other things that I really like about it. A couple things that I don't like, which are big things. At least one of them for sure is that it has been. I've seen multiple reports of like it being unstable once you get over like 40, 50 miles an hour, and you know, I don't like that. I mean, I know you can tighten down the steering damper. I've seen some stuff on that. It's got like an internal steering damper kind of thing going on. You know, I wouldn't worry about it too much because I don't travel at those speeds a lot. But if I was ever out there just doing my normal riding and I felt some kind of instability, that wouldn't sit well with me. And like I said, I've seen like at least a few different people talk about that and run into that problem. So it's a real thing. And yeah, it would be you know, I'd have to deal with that if I got this scooter. I'd have to know that wasn't going to be a problem. The next thing that I really think is a bit much is, I know they're probably doing it for performance and it's a low center of gravity scooter, but they've got the stem like bent really far back, and so, you know, I'm already like trying to lean forward a lot when I'm riding, especially on acceleration. I tend to want to lean forward and go against the force, and that will make it kind of hard. The one way that they kind of make up for that is that you can move the handlebars down. So likely I would probably have them in a really low position, so I could lean over that backward curving stem. None of those things would you know, that I talked about would completely turn me off on the scooter. I'd have to solve the speed wobble thing, because yeah, it just makes me nervous. I don't really plan on going that fast very often, but once again, if I do, I don't want to have to worry about that. So those are my top 5 favorite scooters with 11-inch tires. Final thoughts on all of these. If I had to, just kind of, glancing around, I think right now, if I just had to pick one, at the moment, I believe the Wolf King GT has everything that it has very, very few flaws. The kickstand, I'll just, have to figure out. And I'd have to upgrade to a better charger. But that scooter's got so many positives that it's really difficult for me to find things that I don't like about the scooter, that I can't deal with. So that's one of the things that I'm looking for. It's like there are things that I like about the scooter, and there are things that I don't like about every scooter. But are the things that I don't like something I can live with, or something that I can fix myself? I believe I'm confident to address myself. And so that's where it all comes down to. So out of these, I'd say the Wolf King GT probably fits more of what I'm looking for than any of these scooters, just at a glance. There's all kinds of things that are going to play into my decision, including value at the time when I make my decision. I'm also looking at other scooters. This was just a quick put together some of the scooters I've been following for a while. These all have 11-inch tires, and so these are my favorite top 5. Guys, if you enjoyed this content, you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and happy riding.